So, welcome to the Central School District Board meeting for July of 2019. Comments from the community are entertained during the time designated under Communications Public Comments. If you wish to speak to the board, please fill out a comment card and return it to the board secretary or the board chair at the beginning of the meeting. Speakers' comments in this form are limited to 3 minutes, but the board welcomes additional information in writing. Personnel laws prohibit the board from hearing public complaints about an individual in an open meeting. All complaints must go through the board's approved process as outlined in Board Policy KL. This form may be found on our website or by calling the district office. Typically, a speaker's comment is taken under advisement to allow for the board to review an issue. However, the board chair or other board members may ask a speaker for additional information or may convey to the speaker some information that addresses their comment. Please note on the speaker card if you would like to receive follow-up communication, and if so, what avenue is preferred. And thank you for your attendance at this meeting of the Central School Board. So we're down to adoption of the agenda.
We have one change. We pulled off one policy, KI. We found a few pieces that we need to work on, so we're going to add that to our August agenda item. So you will note that on the previous agenda it was there, and we pulled it off this afternoon, and that will reappear as of August.
And so we're down to ratification of the superintendent contract, which we went through last week. And
so based off of the action that took place at the board's special meeting, attached in your agenda is a contract for consideration from 2019 through 2022. Two items that I advise or recommend for modification from the original contract. One being section 11, which was titled under G, moving costs. I changed that, or I'm recommending a change to G, residency, that states and really leaves the first sentence referencing that I reside in either Independence or Monmouth, which I do, and then remove the language about the moving costs. And then the second, section 13B, termination of agreement without cause. The removal of the language tied to the 17-18 school year and the 18-19 school year. And the current paragraph reflects the process over the life of the contract. And then obviously the contract based off of the action taken by the board as it relates to salary, CSUN, Lissa completed that and is in the contract. And before you all vote, I want to thank you all for your continued support, teaming, and visioning as we continue this work forward. And I look forward to this with you all in the next 3 years.
I wasn't following you entirely. So did you make changes in this contract?
Just those two.
Oh, so you did. So they are changed.
Those are the only two recommended changes
gotcha.
that I made, and then I sent that to Mr. Mosier and Mr.
Right.
Love.
Okay, gotcha. I was looking for the things that you were changing. And
nope, those were the only two.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
It's a good contract, in my opinion.
So do we hear a motion to accept the contract as changed?
I so move.
I'll second
Moved by Jerry, seconded by Dawn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We are glad we have a 3-year contract with you.
We're happy that you have a 3-year contract with her also.
Yep. And recognition by the superintendent.
Yeah, so I want to do two things before I turn it over really to Peggy for a little bit here. The Central School District would like to take just a few moments to recognize the two outgoing school board members, Christina Mann and Steve Mosier. Then I'm going to share a little bit about both of them, a little bit of my reflection. So Christina and I began our journey together 2 years ago in the summer of 2017 when we drove together to Bend to go to summer camp for the first time as a superintendent and as a board member. I cannot thank her enough for the services she has really done for the school district the last 2 years. She has connected with students and listened to their voices. I remember sitting in the high school talking with a handful of students and their concerns about the mental health and well-being of our students across the district, and some of those changes that we've made in our budget this year really supports their voices that we heard over the last year and a half. She was a person that I could bounce ideas off and just was a really good thought partner at times when I just needed to go through different situations as I worked through things. Her leadership on the policy committee, I cannot thank her enough for. Christina, Peggy, and I updated over 150 policies in 2 years, and that's quite an accomplishment. So for Christina, we have a plaque that says, in appreciation to Christina Mann, Board of Directors, 2017 through 2019, for the dedication and service to the children and patrons of Central School District 13J. Please, let's give a hand to Christina for her service over the last 2 years. And then finally, Steve, you will always and forever be my first Board of Director chair. That you are stuck with that title. I cannot thank you enough for the last 2 years and the many, many, many phone calls and conversations as I continue to learn and grow in the role as a superintendent. You have connection and truly serve the communities of Monmouth and Independence. Thank you for always pushing me, for keeping me on task, and for encouraging me to keep the organization moving forward in the best interests of our students, staff, families, and the community. You have helped us to begin to build a solid foundation together for Central School District 13J. Thank you for your leadership on the negotiation team, as your knowledge and background helped us to continue to build a positive relationship with a licensed negotiations team, and I truly mean that. I think the work that we have done with obviously both teams is because of your leadership, and I thank you for that. I truly, truly appreciate your guidance over the last 2 years. You have been a great support to me as I have been in this role, and I want to thank you immensely for that. So your plaque says, in appreciation to Steve Mosier, Board of Directors, 2011 through 2019, for your dedication and service to the to the children and patrons of Central School District 13J. So thank you. You actually get sworn in.
Do we have to do right hand or no? Okay. So I want you to just repeat after me. Okay. So I will say I, and then you state your name. Okay. I,
Jannice Louise Link-Jobe,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and truthfully perform
the
duties of the board member
the duties of a board member
of Central School District 13J
of Central School District 13J
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I get sworn in again?
Yes, you do. You actually do.
Yes.
You can have a
No.
seat right. That's all right. You can.
She's out.
You can do that. Yep, we've got a replacement there.
Ready?
I'm ready.
I
I, Stephen Love,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and truthfully perform the duties
and truthfully perform the duties
of board member of Central School District 13J
of board member of Central School District 13J
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vidal. Welcome. Thank you.
I,
Your name,
Vidal,
last name,
Pena,
thank you. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and truthfully perform the duties
and truthfully perform the duties
of Board Member of Central School District 13J
of Board Member of Central School District 13J
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think the next thing on our agenda is to actually elect officers for the next, or the upcoming year. We'll elect both our chair and our vice chair. Typically, we just open it up for nominations, one at a time. And we'll do the board chair first. Yes, Jan?
I'd like to nominate Steve Love as board chair.
I second.
Thank you. So I've been nominated for the board chair. Are there any other nominations?
Do you accept the nomination?
Yeah, I do accept the nomination. You know, it's been customary that we try to rotate the chair role around, 2-year assignments with the vice chair kind of shadowing. One thing we talked about is maybe in this case I'd be open to doing the chair for 2 years, but it might make sense to have someone step in after a year. So this will be a 1-year assignment, but we might want to think about shortening it to 1 year. But yes, I would accept the nomination. Are there any other nominations?
I move the nominations be closed.
I'm not sure if that's proper rule.
It is, that's probably.
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it?
I think it is. Is there a second?
A second.
There's a second. Okay, the nominations have been closed. All in favor of, feels awkward to say this, but Steve Love serving as your board chair for the next year, years 2019 and 20, please raise your right hand. And I guess I'll be the chair.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Shanghai, Steve.
Okay, so moving on, we'll do the vice chair role now. So we're open for nominations for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Peggy Klein for vice chair.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Would you like to close nominations?
I so move.
Make
I'll
sure she
second.
accepts her nomination, too.
Peggy, will you accept this nomination?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor of Peggy Klein serving as our vice chair for the next school year, please raise your right hand. Okay, well, we are set. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, everybody. Okay, I think we are then on to communications, and we'll start with communications from the floor. Do we have any public comments? We do not have any public comments. Do we have any other reports?
We do not.
Okay,
for
not
this
tonight.
month.
Okay. That brings us to our financial report from Cease.
Thank you. I have for you this evening the 2018-19 Appropriations Report, and that is basically the amount that the board approved and adopted last year for us to spend in all funds, and then along with all the changes that we've made this year, and we've made many, and I didn't bring a hard copy to show you, but if you've all, make sure they've got the page there, I'll make sure that all's at the top.
Page 17.
Yes.
It should be before that stuff. Looks just like this. So the column on the left being the budget that we adopted, the amendments and adjustments that we've made, and then where our expenditures were. This is as of Friday, 6:30, but we still had a few things lingering out there in case we needed to spend them. I don't think we did, so I think we've cleared out all the encumbrances to be zero. But as you can see, based on that, we did end up in the black on all of our funds, and even have a little bit extra left over in food service, which we were concerned potentially about that being without a carryover, but did manage to, did a really good job of cost savings and watching pennies at the end of the year so that we could carry a bit over on the food service account. And I will entertain questions about that and be glad to extend an offer to our newest board members if you would like to come in and visit me and learn what all this is really about. I can give you the 40-minute version of school finance, or I can give you the 4-hour version of school finance, and I would be glad to do that.
I'd like the 40-minute one.
I will be glad to set that time up with you, yeah, for sure, Vidal.
So Cease, just to clarify, so the bottom line, all
Yes.
funds.
Right.
There's, is it correct to say there's 7.8 million of appropriated funds that we will not use?
That includes unappropriated.
Okay, all right, so that's.
Right, the bottom includes where it says all funds 7,000.
Oh, okay, that's,
Those are the unappropriated, so.
Okay.
A
So-
good big chunk of that is unappropriated. The rest of it is carryover, mostly of those, we have some of those grants that go over multiple years, and so they need to
Right.
carry over funds. And then, of course, in the general fund, we tend to take that amount of money and create new contingency funds for the following year, so, yep.
So in the general fund, I'm trying to remember all the numbers.
Sure,
but
that's okay.
Is 6,000 the carryover?
So in the general fund, we budgeted, well, this will show 4 million plus there's
Right.
the unappropriated from last year that'll carry forward. And you take off those encumbrances because we didn't really spend those on the last couple of days. So it's, right, it's getting up there towards the, well, if you look at this, then it's going to look like you're carrying over about
Right.
4.5 million or so. It's a little bit more than that because we've got some down in the unappropriated, and there's some other adjustments in there.
I guess my question was, does that 4 million include the budgeted
see.
carryover amount?
It does,
Yeah, okay,
right.
that's what I was-
Yes.
In the future, I'll try not to guess at numbers because it never.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, this end of year time's always a little awkward. Anyway, so that's all I have for you this evening. I think you were kind of sick of me after last Monday night.
I wasn't there, so I'm not sick.
Oh, yeah, sick of me, yeah. Well, I'll be glad to go back over the entire Monday night agenda with you. We are ready to close down this year and get started on the following year. Just to let you know, we also have our first visit from the auditors in 2 weeks. They'll be here to start doing some interim field work and then turn right around and start preparing for our October audit by getting all those records together and making sure we've got things in place, as well as cleaning up and getting ready to do training and making sure that we've got our systems. We've integrated even a couple of more new systems with our student accounting work that we've been doing. We've done some more refinement of that, hopefully leading to the ability to do full online registration for parents. If we can roll that out with our school admin assistants this August, then we'll be ready to roll that out in the fall. So busy summer ahead for finance and operations departments.
So to summarize, we're ending a year on track,
Yes, we
in the black.
Yep.
As we expected.
Exactly.
In a good overall position.
in a good overall position.
Much better than other districts in the state.
Yes, we are still looking at healthy contingencies at reserves. And this is just the expense side, so any additional revenue we got on top of budgeted revenue actually adds to that carryover. And I guess that's what I was trying to think of how to explain to you. We budgeted for more than $4.5 million of end fund balance. Some of it's from these savings, some of it's from additional revenue. But yep, we are pleased to be able to make the additions we've made for next year's budget, and this shows that we were on track this year with our projections.
Very good. Any other questions for Cease?
I think one of the things Cease and I, as we continue to do this, enrollment is obviously a big driving force of this, and so we continue to look at, when we're talking about just not overall enrollment, but the 90% regular attender, as I shared at our retreat, because that regular attender where they are 90% of the time in during the school is where the ADM comes from. And so again, Cease and I are continuing to, as we work together and refine and how we look at the trend over a year over year, and what that percentage is versus what the daily average attendance is. So just know that we are trying to really come down to a science of that. We're getting closer, but it's still science as we look at those trends.
So did you,
overall.
is that something that you covered? Maybe this is a transition into the superintendent's report, just an update on what was covered at the retreat.
Okay.
Yeah, we went through, really, we spent a lot of time on data. We really focused on attendance first and foremost, looking at overall by school, specifically overall daily attendance, which is how many kids are out of our total enrollment at each school actually showing up to school. And then looking at the second part of that, which is a regular attender, which that means they are 90% of the time actually physically in school. People don't realize that taking a student out for a dentist appointment or anything like that can eat away at that regular attendance, or they come in 30 minutes late because of an appointment or late, or however you want to phrase it. So we spent a little bit of time having that conversation of the difference between the schools and what that attendance is. We also looked at some reading data. We have seen some great improvements across our elementary schools. That has been our focus since I have been here, and so just seeing how students are moving in the right direction as we continue to look at interim assessments to make sure students are learning and growing. And then we spent some time on what's called the school-wide evaluation tool. It is a evidence-based point that we use, and we've used it since I've been here, that really looks at the culture and climate, or the overall, do kids know the expectations? Do staff know the expectations? Is discipline clear? Are the violations clear? Are students acknowledged for what they are being successful at? And so we do that once a year annually to really just give the school in 7 areas where they are doing really well, and then where they need to continue to focus on those pieces. And so really taking a look at the attendance, the academic, the behavioral health of our schools and our school district, and we'll continue to do that as we move forward. We talked a little bit about the next steps of the really our strategic plan, and we looked at the administration based off of all the data that was collected for the accountability. It was our administration then at our retreat started to narrow it down, and so we have a first draft that I will be showing you in August of what the accountability will look like, as well as the first draft of the strategic plan and our priority areas that we will focus on over the next few years. So that's all going to come hopefully now that everyone is gone. I get to sift through a lot of data from both our community and our staffs over the next few weeks here in preparation for our August 19th. And then we looked at, we just went through some timelines because Oregon Department of Ed, our strategic plans were due August 30th, obviously with some of the shift with the Student Success Act, and potentially it's still going to ballot. We actually don't have to have our first drafts for a school district until October. It's really November, the beginning of November. So my goal is to have a first draft in August, and then we will go out in September and October to the community and to our staff to look at that initial first draft, and then come back to you all to ratify our strategic plan, and then give it to the Oregon Department of Education. So that was a main focus. Did I miss any? Is there anything I didn't touch on as I look at?
No, we did a lot.
Lunch.
We did a lot of data. Lunch was supper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That caused a certain amount of confusion amongst at least a couple of us.
You had to be there.
So why don't you keep going then?
Okay, so then we have a couple just policies. So we are, through a majority of our policies. Like I said, we have about 20 that we will need to work with both staff, students, and our community, so that will be the work next year. But as we do these updates, we're going to get new updates, and there's obviously at times changes to them. So the first one that we're looking at is IGBA, which falls under instruction, and it is titled Students with Disability Child Identification Procedures. We actually approved this in April, but there have been some minor language changes tied to adding in language about public and private school programming, as it's noted in the board agenda, and you'll see those there. Because of these small changes, we do have to go back through the process, so this is just the first reading that will take place for IGBA. The second one, IGBAH, which again is under instruction. And again, it's special education, the evaluation procedures. This was also approved in April, but again, there is some minor language change to the evaluation process, really tied to they've really separated out the modified diploma, and so they're just making that clear for school districts. So that's a good thing, which is, again, you're going to see it in the next one because I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the next one. So IKF, which is again under instruction, is actually the graduation requirements. And we actually approved this in January of 2018. There are some minor and larger changes, such as in the previous policy in January of 2018, it just said English Language Proficiency Assessment. ELPA is also what it's known by. But now it's called English Language Proficiency Assessment in the 21st Century, which is now ELPA 21. So minor change there. There's also a change to the title of the assessment manual, which is set forth by the Oregon Department of Education, and notification process for information about the process of a modified diploma. So I'm going to take a minute to just talk about the modified diploma so everyone understands, because there are some changes to it. Specifically helping families know that as a school district, we will annually share with them that the modification process can start early, and because it's a documented type of process. So a modified diploma is a high school completion document that may be earned by students who have demonstrated an inability to meet the full set of academic content standards required for a regular high school diploma, even with reasonable accommodations. So to be eligible, a student must have documented history of an inability to maintain grade level achievement due to a significant learning and or instructional barrier, or a documented history of a medical condition that creates a barrier to achievement. So again, we have a handful of students that do receive a modified diploma each year. Last year, I believe we had 6. And so again, this is just another way. There are several ways that you can earn a diploma. There's also new language in the policy for graduation that we can issue, or the school district can issue, a diploma pursuant to Oregon law to a person or a representative of a deceased person who served in the armed forces. So that's new language that has been added to the graduation requirements. So again, minor changes, but again, I thought it was important to just walk through because it's specific to adding language tied to the modified diploma and clarity for parents as they move forward. And then the last one, JECA, which falls under the student section of the policies, really admission of resident students. Again, this was approved in June, just this past month, but they made a minor shift from where modified diploma was into number 2. It used to be in number 1, and now it's in number 2 in the middle of the policy, so we have to readopt it. So that is the change that took place there. So those are the key policies, at least for this month, that's on first reading. And then the only other piece that I have to share, not only have we had elections for new board members, but we are excited to announce in Central School District the appointment of 2 student representatives to the board of directors. So and I'll share a little bit about the process, but the two students that will represent us for the board is Belén Amezcua and Kendra Hastings. A total of 12 students applied for the two positions. A small committee of board members reviewed the initial 12 applications and moved 4 finalists forward, which at that time there were actually formal interviews by another small committee of board members. And I will tell you all, if we could have put all 4 on, we probably would have put all 4 on, but we do obviously have narrowed it to 2, so we're really excited. Kendra will be a senior at Central, and many of you may recognize her. She is the one that comes and does the updates for us about Power Peers. She also participates in girls soccer, and Belén also is a junior at Central, and she participates in Multicultural Club and is also on the volleyball team. I will be meeting with them in August, potentially Steve as well, or Peggy, to just prepare them for what the first meeting will look like, and then we will have conversations in August at our retreat of what we really want that to look like moving forward as a school board with 2 student representatives. So really, really excited for this opportunity. I think they're going to bring great voice to our school district. Yeah, sure. So we have a tentative agreement with our licensed union. We met on June, I think it was 17th, I believe is the last day we met. And we have a 1-year contract. We were working hopefully towards a 2-year contract, but just couldn't get there. I think a lot with the Student Success Act is still up in the air, and so we'll continue to have those conversations. But I will say I think both teams worked extremely hard to really share information, and we continue to build a positive relationship amongst both of us. So I know CEA will be in August working with their members to move forward with ratification, and then obviously it will come to us for final ratification and hopefully in our September board meeting. So really, really excited. I have been told, people keep coming up to me, especially licensed staff, as I look at our new president back there, Adrian Galt. This is, from what people have said to me, the first time we've had a contract tentatively agreed to in June for at least 10 to 15 years. So again, I give great praise to both teams of really working hard and working together to come up with a really good contract for everyone within the school district. So I'm appreciative to everybody that's on both of those teams.
Thank you. That's great news, great news. Okay, that brings us then to the board report. Not a lot to share. I think, next board meeting August 5th. There is not stated here the OSBA conference that we were talking about a little bit before the meeting started that's in Bend that new members are invited to attend. I don't know if have you received any information on that?
I have flyers for you. We were going
Okay.
to talk afterwards.
Okay. The only challenge might be accommodations, but there may still be ways to figure that out.
Yes.
So that
We
is
are working
it's
through
a
that.
Saturday, Sunday morning,
Yeah,
if I remember right?
It's July 19th through the 21st.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, I would encourage the new board members to try to attend that. The OSBA conferences.
July what?
It is July 19th through the 21st. And I have a flyer here for you, Vidal, so we'll talk afterwards too.
Yeah.
And the district pays for
Yes.
the travel and the accommodations and meals. and
Right,
things, and
exactly.
registration, that
So
sort of thing.
it's a great conference especially for new board members. There's another conference in November. If you're not able to make it in the summer, then we meet in November. It's a lot of the same content, but there's workshops, special speakers. With the workshops in particular, you can get into some for new board members that are really good.
And that one's in Portland every year.
Right,
in November.
right. November is in Portland. We are planning to do a board retreat on Monday, August 19th.
That should be at 1 o'clock, not 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Just
so-
to be clear, sorry about
I
that.
wondered why it was starting.
1 o'clock, I don't know.
The board meeting on the 5th is at 6:30?
No.
The board
Yeah.
meeting on the 5th is at 6:30, yes.
Board meetings typically start at 6:30. Occasionally, we'll do an executive session ahead of the board meeting, so whenever the packages come out, take a quick look to look at the start time, but it typically is 6:30.
And we will, for those of you new board members, Adriana and I are about to go lock ourselves in a room and build the entire calendar, so you will get a lot of invites.
Okay, so you haven't done that yet?
No, we have
I'm
not.
starting to
We
think my
are,
calendar was
we
failing
have
me then.
literally just finished last Friday the school year, as best as I can put it, and are now moving into the new school year. So we are taking Wednesday to build all of that, and you guys will get invites and everything this week from us.
Are the board retreats held here, the ones at 1 o'clock?
Yes, we have
Okay.
thus far, or somewhere in the community.
Okay.
We've done retreats at Western Oregon University as well as Independence. So we will stay in the two towns.
Okay.
Yeah. And in your package, there is a calendar that lines out the dates for the normal board meetings, PLCs, which is a shorter meeting that we do. It's a working session where we can take a topic and get into it in open discussion, and typically we're looking at data or looking at a special topic like curriculums. And then the retreats are also on here, but do we have
We've already
retreats?
adopted this, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the retreats.
The retreats are on there for the
As well as the
next year.
budget committee meetings, which happen in the spring. So that you'll also see budget committees listed as well. But again, we will be sending out invites to get on your calendars over the next few days.
Perfect. That's all I had for updates. Any other board members have updates? Things going on in the community, things we need to be aware of as a board?
I just had a question for Jen. You mentioned not knowing whether the Student Success Act was going to go out for voter referral. Do we have any information on that? I haven't heard anything, but then I've been kind of tuning out the whole political realm lately, so.
Well, I think
Can't imagine why.
the likelihood that there will be an effort to get it on the ballot might have been energized by goings-on at the Capitol over the last couple of weeks. That sense that all of these things together, some senators who walked out indicated that they would come back if more of the things that have been discussed earlier were reconsidered or in some way, and since that didn't happen anyway, I have a feeling there'll be more energy around getting it on the ballot. The legislation is signed, but it says if there is a citizen referral, it has to go to ballot January of 2020.
Right.
That does not give signature gatherers much time to gather, but not saying it can't be done.
Right, okay.
And I received an email today just stating that they have put in all the paperwork, making sure that should that happen, that it is on the January ballot for 2021. So everybody is putting steps in
2020.
place to just be safe.
2020.
Excuse me, I apologize, 2020. Thank you. Apologize. I'm in that, it doesn't start till 2021.
Okay. But we don't
No,
have
we-
any
we
sort
are-
of
we are
indication that anybody's
proactively-
actually getting signatures yet.
They haven't had a ballot title approved,
Right.
which is
Right.
the first thing to getting
Right.
signatures,
Right.
but it will be
Yes.
fast-tracked if they request,
Yeah.
if someone requests that.
And we are planning, because you all know me, I'm proactively planning. So we are already starting conversations with both OSEA, CEA, our administrative team, and really, if it does go to ballot, how we work together, and then obviously with your leadership as the board, what that looks like. We have been very intentional this spring in having those conversations because we know for us to be successful, we need to make sure that we are working together through these processes, because this is big. This is a historic, it is historic. I mean, it's been very fun and hard this year, and it will be that same way if it does go to ballot. And we are, again, everybody's excited, and we'll roll up our sleeves and do what we need to do to make sure that we can move that forward. So more to come. As I get updates, they will go into your Friday reports as soon as I get them.
Okay. Let's keep moving on then. We are to the consent agenda. I think in the consent agenda, we have our meeting minutes and personnel recommendations. Is there anything we need to call out there specifically?
No, and you will not see meeting minutes because we are still working through those because we had 2 meetings and they've been pretty close back to back as we've been trying to close the school year. So you'll see both June minutes and the August meeting as well. So all that is in the consent agenda is our personnel recommendations this time.
Okay, thank you for that
Yep.
clarification. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved from Don and a second by Jerry. Any questions about the consent agenda? Go ahead and call the motion then. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please raise your right hand. Motion passes. That brings us to our business agenda, which is the resolution designating district signatures. Is that back to you, Cease?
Yes, so each year we need to, you need to appoint the people who are legally authorized to represent the district, sign checks, sign contracts, and serve as your executive assistant and legal board secretary. So we had a couple blanks there, our chair and vice chair, and when, if you would move to adopt this resolution, then you would need to specify that we'd be adding those names into those lines. But this literally is, you know, we have to sign things saying, you have to sign things saying we are the authorized signers. And just so you notice, Jason Clark has been added to that last year and this year. We don't have the assistant superintendent position, but basically Jason was added because he is likely to be in the building and has a lot of operational knowledge about the district. He's been a really good partner for myself in the business office to review checks, to review those kinds of things. So we will continue with his name on there as our other authorized signer in the event Jen and I are not available. Yes.
So is it a typo that he's listed down there as assistant soup?
Yes,
At the bottom, yeah.
good catch.
Thank you. You know,
We probably did it that way
I
last
read
year.
everything. I read every word. And when he could be, it's just that there's 2 titles there, so.
Yeah.
No, I don't see it on mine.
Mine doesn't
Oh,
say
it's
that.
not,
No.
it's been updated in the latest copy.
Yeah.
That's why it
This
wasn't.
was the email copy I got.
This one's with the
It's
one
on the,
Oh,
if
the
you,
current packet?
yeah, if you click on the link, it's
Okay.
up there. So.
Either way, we'll make sure that's corrected.
Director of Program
Yeah,
Planning.
Okay.
It is.
Okay, so
Maybe
I
I'm
guess,
always one step ahead of us.
yeah. So we need a motion then.
I would move that we adopt the resolution authorizing President-elect Clerk, Administrative Manager, and Fiscal Agent to sign as legally elected and qualified officers with the addition of Stephen Love as the Chair of the Board and Peggy Klein as the Vice Chair of the Board.
Thank you, Don. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jan. Any questions before we go to vote? Okay, all in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your right hand. Thank you, that passes. And that brings us to the conclusion of the meeting. We're at comments by individual board members. This is where we have an opportunity to share things on our mind, things going on in the community, things that we'd like to share with the district, because they'll see minutes from our meetings. Any board members want to share any updates or comments? Jan?
I just want to say how delighted I am to be on the school board. I've been involved with the district for 30-plus decades, and this is just such an honor. I'm just so excited for this, so I hope I'll do my very best. It's something I'm really looking forward to.
That's great.
And I was just going to say that, at least for myself, I welcome both the new board members to the board
Yeah,
and look
I'm
forward
also
to working with
very
you.
excited.
And certainly would offer, I'm not going to spend 4 hours with you like Cease is willing to, but if you're ever interested in asking questions about how things work or how they're supposed to work, I'm happy to spend time with either of you.
They're going to get to spend 4 hours with me, probably.
Very good. Peggy, anything? Jerry?
I'd just like to extend a welcome to Jan and Vidal and Steve re-election, and so on, so.
Thanks, Jerry. I have a couple things. Steve, I want to thank you for being a partner in crime over the last, what's it been, 8 years that we've been on the board together. We've been through a lot of stuff, and I'll miss you, but good luck with everything in the future, and really, really appreciate everything you've done for the district, in addition to everything else you do for our community. So really, really appreciate that.
I'll still be around.
Yeah. I had a chance to travel with Christina. We were in New York City with the thespian kids. We got to see 3 different shows. The folks from the high school that pull this trip together, they do it every other year. They do a wonderful job of organizing the trip. So really want to thank Mr. Witt, Miss Bruning, and our kids, yet again, just set themselves apart with how respectful, well-behaved, and they just do such a great job of looking out for one another as well. So it just makes me proud. Makes me proud as a parent. Makes me proud as a board member and a community member. And, we just hear that time and time again. So there's something we're doing right, and we just need to continue to build on that. We got great community, great kids, great staff, so, and a great board. So, what's that?
And a decent board, at least.
And a decent board. Okay, so items for action at future meetings, you see listed here. We'll do an updated org chart, the working agreement, either next meeting or maybe
September, possibly,
we
or
can
even at the retreat.
could
We
do the
can walk through
retreat.
it Probably
It's
at the
probably
retreat
worth
as well.
doing an
And then we
update
can
at the
adopt
retreat.
at the September meeting.
And yeah, so, and we're getting close to getting our strategic plan,
We are.
finalized, and that's pretty darn exciting, and that's something that we'll all need to spend time really making sure we understand it and have the talking points down and really support it as we move forward. So we'll look forward to that. With that, we are adjourned.